This morning, all too briefly, in the Lamrim meditation, we were looking at the three characteristics. And these are three characteristics that describe all of cyclic existence, people, all the phenomena. And they are impermanence, dukkha, which is the unsatisfactoriness, and selfless. So I wanted to apply those to one of the mental factors that we're looking at this week, which is haughtiness, which I don't really know that word very well, so I'm going to have to tell you what it means. It's not a word I use. It's just something that I lived. So some other words they use about it is conceit, but I think what's closer is self-satisfaction. But I'll just read what one of the definitions that we're studying this as a group. Each week we pick two mental factors, and we meditate on them all week, and then we discuss them. And last week's were too difficult for me to invite our guests to come to because they were just too hard. This week's are a little more tangible. We can see this in our lives. So this haughtiness is a puffing up of the mind through taking joy and comfort in observing one's own good health, youth, beauty, power, signs of long life, prosperity, things like that. So one version of it is being intoxicated with youth. I love that expression. And it is so descriptive. You know, that's like one example. If you think about when this is one advantage of getting older, is you have the experience of looking back at your life and just seeing what you were doing, and especially when we have the great fortune of having the Dharma to help to inform our wisdom, really, about our lives. And so, can you remember when you were younger and how there's a sense of confidence that came from being strong and young, and your whole life is in front of you, and do you remember how that kind of made you exclude a lot of things? That's the part. Yeah, that's the part that I think we have to tap into, because what they say about this mental factor, so this delight of someone who's infatuated with their own well-being, they say it's to the point that the mind is overwhelmed. And so that's okay. I guess we could live with that. That doesn't seem all so bad, right? No big deal. Except for that, the consequences of this. This is where it starts to kind of fall apart, and we start to see these three characteristics. Because they say, and this is what we need to explore, that it serves as a basis for all afflictions and secondary afflictions, for all of our afflictions. It's a basis for that, and it's kind of a root of non-conscientiousness. So think about that. This is something that's like pervading our experience in a way. And so where that comes to life is when Venerable Chodron and her, we were studying the great masters Vasubandhu and Asanga, what they had to say about this mental factor, and also more contemporary or ways that people of more recent generations have expressed this. And one thing Venerable Chodron said is that this is what produces a false or deluded sense of confidence. And this is one of the things I think that you could really see that happens in your own life. And so why do people have midlife crisis? And why do people have trouble when they retire? And why do people have so much trouble when things fall apart in their life? Right? This is because you've kind of like built this, you're riding on this raft of supporting your life, and it's all like dissolving underneath you because it's not stable. It's not a stable foundation to build your life on. Something that's unstable, your youth, your power, anything. Even if you think about building your self-confidence on the foundation of being your abilities. Like I remember when Jeffrey Hopkins was saying he had this health problem and he lost his ability to speak Tibetan. And he was like, wow. I mean, he had a huge medical problem for a while. He's a translator. He's written 35 or more books. He's kind of brought the whole teachings in a huge way, made a huge impact in our generation, in our time period. But to lose the net ability to be able to speak that language, And so, you could see how your whole world could just shatter then if that was what you were basing your life on. Luckily, he had the Dharma going for him, and he realized, well, I think I could just try to be kind. It's like, what a great solution, So, it's this is really something for us to look at. And one of the little things that, kind of a side thing that I was thinking about this is, it really fits these three characteristics, because we're basing something on something that's completely impermanent. It's going to lead us to dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, and we're all, that sense of lack of confidence that so many people have, like we know what that is. That's not satisfactory at all. But then what's funny to me is when you think about it in terms of selflessness, especially since we've had a lot of talks recently about identities and the identities that we form. And it kind of makes me think that that's something that we do a lot in our lives. We build up these persona. We're doing different things in our lives, and it's like this house of cards that always is going to come tumbling down. But what's funny about it is that it seems like we're spending our lives barking up the wrong tree, in a way. Creating these personas, creating these identities, which we do, of course, we can't help but do because of the ignorance in our mind. But one simple thing that can help to be a more firm foundation is something that Kinzer Jampatekchok said when he was here years ago about our precious human life. And he just said simply, it's not who you are. That's not what your life is about. It's what you can do with it. And so that's really, flipping the equation here a little bit. And this is what is precious about our human life, is that we can actually do something valuable with this life instead of creating these personas of thinking who we are and who we aren't. All the things that we do, and especially much more prevalent, you can think about it when you were a teenager, what that was like, and then you go into your 20s and you're still doing this identity thing. But, if we could shift our life a little bit to what are we actually able to do with this life, then I think that would really, for someone who has the Buddhist worldview, that would really, I think, be a much more firm foundation. So just some thoughts to think about.